though Russia is one of our key members of the GECF. We have 20 members in all, 12 full-time members, and Russia is one of those. And so being able to visit and meet with people behind the industry here in Russia has been quite important. GECF turns 25 this year, and so we're celebrating our silver jubilee. And it just so happens also that Russia has been kind and hospitable enough to host our summit this year. The summits hold at the level of the heads of state and heads of government. And so we will be back in Moscow in October for this summit, which will be hosted by Russia, even as we celebrate the 25th anniversary. So it's a special one, really, and we're looking forward to that. It has been impossible not to discuss this topic because it's something that affects the whole world, not just Russia, not just the GECF, but the entire world is affected by this, both on the supply side and on the demand side as well. So we have been discussing it, and it's an unfortunate situation, but I think one of the lessons that has come out of this is that we continue to face various shocks, whether they're geopolitical or otherwise. Just the last 6 years we've had about 3 major ones, and this is going to continue. And I think the focus for us now is how do we build resilience into the energy system, not just at country level, but globally, to ensure that when shocks like this happen, it's not an if, it's really a question of when shocks like this happen, that we are able to absorb these shocks and to mitigate them and not allow them to, number one, impact the economy and to become a global issue. And so lots of the discussions are having to do with the mitigations, to do with diversification of supply sources, supply routes, and to look at infrastructure, connectivity, whether this is pipeline or LNG. So there are a number of things that are currently being discussed. But at the bottom of it all is the fact that we can only achieve these mitigations, whether short-term or long-term, if we work together. So cooperation is absolutely important. And so some of these meetings have been along those lines of how we enhance the cooperation between states, between governments, between businesses, right across the industry and across the value chain of natural gas to build that resilience that we need to future shocks. The whole world is suffering. And as you know, each country has taken measures already. Businesses have taken measures, even customers have taken measures, some by cutting back to save cost because prices have gone up, and there are countries that have looked at alternatives that they can use in the meantime. So measures have been taken, and I think what we're trying to do is to ensure that we convey the message that natural gas remains a very robust, very reliable under normal times. It's affordable and it's also sustainable, and it's that form of energy that I think in the long term will continue to support the energy system of the world, and therefore we see this shock as a learning point, something that we need to learn from this crisis in order to build the resilience that we need in the future, so that if we have whether it's similar or a different one, and the question again is when it happens, whether it is a different kind of shock or similar to this, that we are able to move on without it upsetting the global economy. We've seen the ripple effects go beyond just oil and natural gas. We've seen fertilizer affected, and so farmers in different parts of the world are being impacted by this, whether in the developing world or in the developed world. They're all being affected. You see things like the production of microchips being affected by the supply of helium, various petrochemicals that leave the Middle East and go to parts of the world. Supply of those are affected. So it's a global matter, and this is why we need to take a systemic approach to this, rather than just a spontaneous knee-jerk reaction to one shock by one country. This is a multi-fuel and multi-dimensional crisis that we're facing. And the approach also has to be one that is coordinated across borders, across boundaries, but also across the entire energy system.